I'm wearing my space helmet and I'm ready to be launched to the moon, which is very fitting because today I'm talking about Sidus Heros, a space-themed AAA video game with a play-to-earn model that may do just that, send us to the moon or cause us to crash and burn, which means I've got my protection. Let's talk about Sidus Heros. As I had said, Sidus Heros is a space-themed video game, and it looks to be a pretty decent one, to be honest too. It's aiming for that AAA gaming model. It has a development team. They look like they have a bit of a working game. They have NFTs that you can stake involved with it. They have a recent IDO, which allowed for the tokens to come out. You can purchase them on stock market Bitfinex. You can get them on Uniswap. And really, they're approaching this with a whole free-to-play model. This is going to be one of the main things that they're leading in with, is the free-to-play model, which is huge and is done very well for a lot of other games in the crypto space. Obviously, they have a full-fledged white paper that goes well into sort of the game economics and the infrastructure and everything that you're going to benefit from playing this video game and all this wide ecosystem that you're going to be drove right into. But here is where comes my first problem with the whole project, or the project space in general. As I had noted, we're talking about a space-themed video game. First off, we have multiple space-themed video games in development, all in the AAA space, and they all purport to do kind of the same thing. They're gonna build an entire universe free-to-play with a play-to-earn model that's gonna have an economy, and you've got all these tokens. And did I mention it's in space? This right off the bat is sort of my first big problem or consideration for the project, is that competition one, we're also talking about a genre in the video game world that isn't one of the largest ones out there. And I made this concern over in my Star Atlas video, and it actually is a little bit of something you should be thinking about if you want to make this a long-term hold. Now, if you're thinking of this as just a short-term moonshot that you're going to sell at the top here at the next all-time run, then you really don't need to think about this, and you should be focusing on if people think it's going to do that again and following that train. But if you're thinking long-term hold and you want to put some risk aside with this and maybe carry it through a bear market in case we do find another dip here, you got to think of it yourself. So in video games, is the space-themed video game genre the largest one? No, not even close. And as we can see, one of the biggest ones that's done very well in the crypto space is a small Pokemon style animal game, Axie Infinity, right? And the other games following suit are 3D, almost Minecraft looking video games. So none of those really space themed at all. And I think the space theme enamors a lot of people. Us enthusiasts, crypto, we're kind of geeks. We like space, we like technology, guns and lasers and ships and that sort of stuff. And that's very interesting to us, but is that going to be attainable for the average person, for the retail investor, for the retail investor, but also the retail gamer? Is that going to be something they want to deal with? Not to mention the elaborate economy that's going to be involved with this. I think honestly, most people want to play on a casual gaming space. And I think this is the crux of any game studio that's developing a game, is they try to find a balance. They either go heavy into casual gamer or heavy into pro gamer, but either way, you need to kind of pick a side or you need to cater to them, and it's a delicate balance. Even Call of Duty has this question that comes up amongst the pro players all the time. And it's a delicate balance they need to play. But we're talking about a game development studio that's been in it for a long time. So I know this was a long ramble to really make into consideration about the genre, but I think it's something we should think about, because if you're as concerned about the genre as I am and saying that long term, is it going to have what it takes to bring enough players and maintain those players for a long time into the future to really justify some of these crazy market caps? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to have that. Now, as an altcoin that's going to shoot up to the moon because we're catering to a bunch of people who think, wow, space-themed video games, yo, let's go, it looks good, it's going to be fantastic, then that might just be the plane for a moonshot. So I'm probably going to consider this more in my moonshot bag than I'm going to put this in my long-term hold. And that's something I wanted to put up front, and I'll let you do the decision on this. But I guess this is a perfect time for me to say, as usual, this isn't financial advice, and you should not be listening to some guy on YouTube when it comes to taking information to the bank. It is a good prompt to go do your own research and look into the tokens that we're talking about. Maybe take some considerations as educational and entertainment material. But if you do have any questions, or you think I've done I haven't done my due diligence in sort of the way I've approached it, or I've really done a Project 30, let me know down below. I would love to know the comments. I'm very active in my community, and I do appreciate it. If you also have any other games out there or any other projects you really think I should be looking into, please leave them down below. This is actually how I got this all my viewers are really who have been propagating any of the new projects I've been looking at, and I appreciate it. So leave those comments down below. With all that said, I want to now jump on over to the charts. Let's take a look at the prices and start running through the fundamentals. So you know how we do on this channel, I always start over on CoinMarketCap and take a look at prices to give myself a little bit of a lay of the land and where I am at. And we're sitting at about 3 cents, which to me in a short-term sort of coin style is a great place. I love those low coins because it really causes a lot of people who don't understand market cap to sit back because they're like, oh, it really doesn't have the value in it, or they either FOMO into it because it does have the value. They think, oh, 3 cents, it's gonna go to $20. It's always gonna have a better place when it's at a lower coin, because something that's already $650, people don't FOMO in as easily because they think, well, how do I, even though they can get a fraction of $640 for some of these other games, they don't realize how it works. So as people who know how this works, I love seeing these lower number coins because it gives people a little bit of a FOMO material. And as you can see, I like to zoom out onto the all time and look over where we've been. So 3 cents, we're down here, we're down in a trough, and we're getting a little bit of an upswipe here, which is following the altcoin market, which I like to see too. I like to make sure that it adheres to the rules. Bitcoin first, altcoins following, right? They all want to follow suit. And we're seeing things kind of have an upward trajectory. We're doing a test of the 48K on the Bitcoin, which is a great place to sort of give us an opportunity to see and test the market, but see if everything's fallen into place. But really this 18 cents back here where it was at the all-time high, which was a test back in the end of last year for Bitcoin, this is exactly what I would like to see too. And even though the game has only been launched, or the token has only been launched for a short period of time, that's actually perfect because I've seen some that came out late and they really fizzled through the all-time, which means people didn't really think it had the legs. In this one, even though they hadn't got much to go off of, people thought, hey, this is really gonna take off into the moon. So I think you could always see that, and I really like to see that before I get into one of these moonshots off the bat. So that's a first thing I'd be looking at. And then I wanna take our attention all the way up to the market caps. Look at 19 million at the current market cap with circulating supply around 636 million, which I'm okay with that. I think at a ground level that this is, having a $20 million market cap is not bad. When I look at the fully diluted market cap, considering the circulating supply, we're at 900 million, $1 billion. And I start to think, for one single space themed video game, when I'm coming back to that problem, it's one single space themed video game, that's a little bit of a problem. That's a high market cap, but clearly we're gonna have some sort of extended future into the vesting, hopefully, that will cause that to be over a long period of time, therefore justifying it. But at that point, would I be able to justify it at 18 cents? At those higher prices, it's gonna be a much higher market cap. So that's something I wanna come back to at the end, and we'll really explore sort of a price prediction on what we think after we've looked through the fundamentals, assuming everything here is good. The next place I wanna jump on over to is going to be our, we're gonna look at a blockchain explorer. And really what I do here is I just check to see if any of our wallets are really too large to be held by any one person, leading to a potential rug pull, which we hate to see. And the biggest one I see here is the 50% here. But all along the side, as you can see, all these little icons, they denote a smart contract, which means that there is some sort of a liberating factor that needs to happen through the contract to cause the money to come out. It's not just held by a singular person, which I like to see. This is a much nicer thing, 0.5%. And this one actually, by clicking on it, you can actually see there's about 15 billion Sidus in there, which would be perfectly in line with being a project-driven, coin, a usage coin into the future. And I would imagine that there would be a nice vesting schedule associated with that. From here, I'm gonna send on over to the Twitter because let's start looking at the retail sentiment and see what people think about it. Clearly, we have a few people involved. There's about 334,000 people checking out the Twitter, which is again another good sentiment point for retail investors wanting to see this thing FOMO in, right? They want to see this thing altcoin up and shoot to the moon. There's a lot of people paying attention to this. I think the fact that they have a working model, again, they're one of those early space games that's probably making more headway than say some of the other ones. People are watching it. So we got to take that. And I think that's going to be some of that emotion that we're looking for when it comes to those quick FOMOs. The first thing I'll draw up attention here to though is that, here's the style, the art style we've got. I like it, I dig it, it's space themed video game, but this is what's gonna be the thing that's gonna remove a lot of other people who don't care about aliens. If you're not interested in aliens and this isn't really your vibe, then you've removed a lot of people. People who like cute, people who like to be humanoid, this has already removed them. And I think they're leaning hard into this for the time being. This guy isn't here really attractive. They're doing another giveaway here, which is fantastic to see. But I really wanna make that point of, it's a space video game, really focusing on these aliens with sort of guns and lasers and chips. It's gonna have a massive economy, you know, very special person is going to want that. Here's our notification that we had Bitfinex actually releasing both the tokens, and there are 2 tokens. I guess this is a perfect time to mention there's 2 tokens. This goes to the massive economic sort of infrastructure that they're looking to put in place with this video game in this massive universe. Again, a major concern for me because how much time people want to invest into an economic world when they leave home, they leave their job and they just want to veg out into another world, not necessarily play political mastermind. That's a smaller echelon of people, so that's something to be thought about. But as far as their Twitter, again, they've got some, you know, people reacting to it. I see some retweets, I see comments, I see hearts, but nowhere near the 334,000, something to be noted. The next step off point is going to be the website, where clearly they've got a marketing budget, they're doing well, they're putting out some good marketing material. Alien space theme, again, gotta be into it. They're doubling down on that sort of stuff. So the next thing I'll kind of take us over to is that how you can get started, and you can use the NFTs. And this is really cool because we have 2 sections of NFTs. I believe this original NFT, someone let me in the comments know about the NFT history here. I believe this original, and I've actually pulled it up, the original project here looks a little bit dated to the design theme already going on. So I would say that it doesn't necessarily adhere to it, which means that they probably was an earlier seed round funding, which is really cool to see that it actually worked that way, if it's the case. Let me know down below if you believe. I believe it's trading around $600. There has been some activity at the time right now. Correct me if my math's wrong. I'm just doing it off the top of my head, 0.2 ETH at 3,000. There's been some traction when it first happened, obviously some flippers. We've seen a little bit of a resurgence, but not much in the past here. So I really think if you're getting involved, you're getting in for the video game. But the other NFT you can get involved with is a $65, I believe that's that price, is about $65, which would be the cost of a AAA video game. You can get in with these tokens, and these will allow you to stake them, and that's your character sort of getting involved. And you can get higher tier ones, obviously, at $9,000. God, I hope that gives you some serious privilege in the video game. Otherwise, oh boy. And from here, honestly, I want to just kind of jump on over to the light paper and the white paper and really just kind of briefly talk through them. So if you really just want a quick overview of what's going on and what the project is looking to put out there, the light paper is going to be just fantastic for you. It's it's about a 21 page. It is a 21-page document that really goes through the team. They actually have some pairings with some team members here. And one of the interesting things I noticed was that they actually have, this is Mr. Beast's logo, which is interesting. And then I see Alex Becker here. And as we know, these are YouTube sort of influencers. And I actually found a Medium article that was talking about leveraging Medium, YouTube influencers and utilizing them in the right way, maybe in the future. I mean, here we got BitBoy Crypto as well as I look over. And it's interesting because one of the names that was mentioned in that Medium article was Jake Paul. And Jake Paul has been a known scammer for rug pulls and just blatantly paid money to promote shit he didn't care about. So interesting thought. I don't know how I feel about it. I do believe there's a time and a place to leverage as a project and they shouldn't give up anything. But yeah, I haven't seen anything from Mr. Beast, and I did a quick search on Mr. Beast Sidus Heroes and nothing came up. So I'm not really sure where they're gonna get involved, but I do know Alex Becker is a bit of a slut when it comes to his opinions and putting out names and name dropping altcoins and being involved with those projects. So who knows? I don't know. I mean, I see a lot of names. Network is one of those big ones that I actually like to see in here. So we'll see what comes of all this. But anyway, the light paper is actually an interesting, quick little read. Again, it's just got a massive economy. They're looking to make incentives for the play to earn model and just different ways to leverage it and become involved in the economy and spending and buying. And this right off the bat is something we've seen in these video games and I think is an interesting concept for them to make. But at the end of the day, I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with video games and how people are going to react in all this in depth when it comes to playing a video game, because a lot of people use video games as a tool to get out of their world. Now I know some people get really intense into Dota and WoW, but they don't get into it in a crazy economic model. They get into it in a like leveling up way. And I guess if that is some way to level up is going to be involved in sort of politics of a universe, then maybe that's the way a lot of people will get involved. It should be interesting in the future. Again, if there's the incentive to making money, I don't know, it might be something completely different. It should be interesting to see. But right now, a lot of them just like to play video games and like veg out, honestly. So I'm not gonna walk through the entire white paper. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Again, it's a very in-depth one, kind of really talking about the how the game is going to be built up and what your incentives are going to be. But I did want to drop us off at this point here, which it kind of goes to talking about a few of its advantages and strengths, and that it really was trying to use to sell itself. Obviously this was done a little bit ago, but not that long ago, so we really have to hold them to the information in this. And right down here we can see the above mentioned factors create enormous potential for further growth. Honestly, what I see here is I see massively developed studios. Axie Infinity at 29.9, and we're talking about market capitalization in billions here. This is the outlier, and I think this is part of that tulip mania where people are buying into video games that they don't really know where the real value of it lies is. Honestly, there's some very big studios here that we need to consider, and a lot of these have had many years of development and have many games and titles and have shown and proven their worth to the world. Axie Infinity hasn't. I think this could drop off any day. Doesn't mean it will, and the play to earn model does go to show what that can do to you. That incentive can be massive. But are they going to slide in there? Are they going to fill in the gap? They do highlight this as being a potential for growth into the future, and I think there is potential for growth into the future. So as long as they maybe branch out from the space theme, we've got a much better answer for them. But it's interesting that they put a lot of games that have a very large, like these are massive studios for the most part. Again, not this one. What I will note that I did say about Gala Games is Zagna, co-creator, is Gala Games, which is a studio platform. So although it's one of the lowest ones, so don't hold me to it. The other quick point I wanted to make here was that if we look at this first full kind of paragraph here where it talks about Sidus Heros market advantages, I wasn't enamored with the market advantage they were looking to bring. So again, kind of taking care of my concerns that I had about competition in the space theme video games, the fact that it's a genre that's probably pretty lower in there. We've got a lot of other free to play to earn models out there. First of all, Sidus Heroes is a social lift. Not really sure what that means. An educational platform. It's a video game and provides opportunities to earn real money, become financially literate, and gain entrepreneurial skills. Bold statement about entrepreneurial skills, but it doesn't really necessarily talk about it. It goes into the economic model and how you can benefit from it, but it isn't quite what I would expect with like clear delineated model. And I've seen many others that look to create an infrastructure where it's like, these are the avenues you will make money, or this is the avenue where advertisers will come in, which I am bigger on, but it's interesting. I just didn't really think it was a massively compelling, even though, you know, there's obviously more to this. Do your own research, read it. It's not quite what I would have said is like as deep into it as I would like it to be. This little icon I wanted to show you here, and we have a couple of space themed video games, boom, right here. And this is where Sidus Heroes actually sees himself on this. I can't remember this. This isn't a Gantt chart. I don't know what kind of chart, I can't remember. But they see themselves as being content development and elaborate on an economic model. So they think now I looked at the Star Atlas economic model and it was intense. Like they really went into the mathematics of how politics might be managed. This is a bold statement to also be saying that they're gonna go here. And when I look at Axie, even though it does have that economic model, it really doesn't. It does it in a very simple way, and it doesn't make it too complicated. You have little animals and you breed them, and you can make money by breeding and lending them. Like, it's the fundamentals of an overly complicated economic scale, but it's like the basics. They're talking about going even further into the future of that. So I'd be curious to see where this actually lands here and whether or not they're going to compete with all these games. As I can see a few more, there's the little kitties. So I don't know. Just wanted to put that out there, let you make your own sites. I think it's a good read for everybody. Go take a look at it if you really are interested in the project. If not, you know, take my word for it, whatever. So I had to zoom out a little bit so we could get the token sale wheels up here, and it really does show us that percentages on where they're gonna sell the Sidus and the Senate token. Again, there's just a 2-token model for the whole sort of ecosystem. Yeah, I mean, there's some okay numbers in here. This is the 30 billion. We have 300 million for the Senate token. So that 15 billion is the ecosystem. That's that smart contract we saw earlier, which I said we'd talk about. That's sitting here, and I imagine that's gonna be sort of the inflation that's gonna come through to incentivize the game to keep going once all this has been sort of spoken for. We don't see crazy numbers. I mean, 3% public sale is 2%. We got 3% for partners. Liquidity is 5%, so that's public. Seed round is 5%. Team is 6%, so what are we at? 8 and 15, 16%. Pre-round sales, so we're at 25%. Reserve fund is for the team. Private round 11. So we're like at a 30, 40% for a 35% maybe for kind of private investors. So the one thing I would like to see with this is the vesting schedule, because that's gonna tell me when that's gonna come out, if there's gonna be a sharp dip in it once it comes out. I don't know if we've seen that already, and we really haven't been told what the vesting schedule is. I couldn't find it here or anywhere else. This kind of drags me down to the team, which is inside of here, and you can find it on their website. And I did start looking through portions of the team, and it seems like they're based in Australia. They're actually, where the headquarters is, or where they're actually doing work, is in Sydney, Australia. It shows that both on Twitter, and it does mention it somewhere in the LinkedIn. And going ahead and looking at the top 4 guys here, we do see a background in design. We do see some venture capital enterprising. We do see many different businesses that lead me to believe that there is a possibility for the entrepreneurial mindset to come through and shine and actually see it come through to the future. But what I would note is that there has been a little bit of FOMO in the coin market cap. I saw in their chat, they were talking about, a few people had been mentioning the fact that a lot of the team is from Russia. Well, yeah, a lot of the team might be Russian, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that project will collapse due to Ukrainian-Russian turmoil. So it is something to consider, but I don't know if it's gonna have quite the weight that I think a lot of people may be thinking it will have. So I'm gonna give it the best bet that it's in Sydney. That's really where the headquarters are. So really the infrastructure of the project doesn't need to be too worried about it. And again, what I've seen is they have a working model. The design team has really put some stuff together. The packaging, the marketing has been done well. So I'm gonna give this a bit of a vote here. There are a large number of team members, so if you are interested, I would say go into this a little bit deeper just to vet them, but they all do seem to have the skill set that would be required to make a team of this project go forward. So all this really brings me on back to the charts, where does this project look like anything you want to get involved in? And remembering there's 2 portions, long-term hold, short-term moonshot. And honestly, I think after looking at everything, like I said, the project looks good. It does have a deep economic model. It's got a play to earn mechanism to it. There doesn't seem to be too crazy with the tokenomics. I would like to see a vesting schedule. So if you know where one is, leave a comment below. Let me know where I can find one. But in my opinion, we need to really address this more as the short-term hold and as a moonshot, following it on the heels of any sort of rally or any sort of good news. I don't know if I'd be putting in this along my long-term bag, just again because it's a space-themed video game with competition for a genre that is the smallest, one of the smallest of the genres in all the video games. So once more retail sort of video game players come into it and your average gamer comes in, this isn't gonna be the one that launches out. If anything, if you're gonna ask me to put all my money into some Metaverse plays in a video game, you're gonna point me in the direction of something that's gonna be like a WoW, a Dota, honestly, with massive, huge player base in sort of Asia. I'm gonna look for those kind of things, or maybe something with a gambling model that has the loot boxes that I see all the time. So this might not be the one. Could they develop something in the future? Could this be the first round of video game that they make that helps launch them into the future, just like every other platform? Yeah, of course, it could be. But I wanna see that come through to fruition before I long-term hold this. But honestly, if I'm looking at this as a moonshot, I'm gonna consider it I'm gonna look at that 18, 19 cents. I actually even have it right there at 19. Oh no, I don't, no. 18.65. So let's bring out the calculator. Let's do it at circulating supply and see what that seems like. So this would put us, if it went to that previous all-time high at 19 cents, this would put us at $114 million market cap at the circulating supply. So that is if it kind of went up there today, tomorrow, without any more of these coins coming into circulation. Let's have a look at what the fully diluted market cap would be, because I'm not upset with that. And I think that that's a very reasonable expectation for one video game. 20 million, sure. But if it's a good video game that has a, several 100,000 player base, maybe a monthly 10, 20,000 player base a monthly, sure, this is a video game that could have the leverage to give the studio what it needs, and then they start showing that they're making new video games, maybe branching out a little bit from the space theme. I could see that being a place where it could land one day, right? But then again, if I move on over to 30 billion times the 18 cents, I get to 5.4 billion as a fully diluted market cap. So let's say the vesting schedule is over the course of 2 years. I don't know, I'm just gonna stab at it. Let's say 5 years just for fun. So in 5 years, if this thing were to go up and it was to still be valued at those values, would it be worth 5.4? No. I can't imagine it being there in 5 years unless there is a studio that has developed behind it. But would this be something that it could easily get to in the short term on another all-time high run? Yes, I think the sentiment is there from the community. I think that there would be enough people behind it to kind of replicate what we've seen here before. But again, this is just a stab in the dark, not financial advice. It's just wild guesses. It really is just wild guesses. It really is just wild guesses. And 5.4 billion, I really do look at that as the fully diluted market cap into the future. I would hope at that point, if they were to get to that place, I really can only see multi-billion-dollar projects being in the infrastructure place. And that would be a studio in the gaming model. So let me know what you thought about the whole Sidus Heroes. I know I might have been kind of talking about it and giving it a downturn because, hey, there's a little bit of competition. And honestly, if you're picking which space game to get into, this may be the one that gets there first because they already kind of have a playing model. They have a lot of people interested in what's going on. And honestly, what I saw over at Star Atlas was kind of, whew, it was intense what they were trying to accomplish, and I've heard that there's been nothing but delays, and they were really going wholehearted into it. So this might be the first game that gets there and really just drags people in. They do have more competition though, other games like Illuvium. So it is something to take into consideration when you're thinking about those long-term holds. But as far as seeing a little bit of a moonshot here and some potential to make some money, as long as we see another rally from Bitcoin and the old altcoin market kind of following, I think there would be enough people that you could jump on board with who would be trying to see this thing go create those same high peaks that we saw over in the early state of 2021. So I don't know, it's something to think about. There's a lot more risk involved with that, and I am not condoning doing that kind of attitude at all. But if you are a degen, it's something to consider out there because a lot of these altcoins, especially at the lower price of 3 cents, people don't understand market cap. So they go, hey, I'm gonna get into that and it's gonna moonshot up to $10 million. So follow that FOMO and make yourself a lot of money. You know what to do. If you found any value in this, please leave a comment down below. Again, let me know what your thoughts were on the project. Bad shake. If you think I'm full of shit, I would love to know about it. If you found any value out of it, again, do smash the like button, hit subscribe if you care at all about seeing any more of this content. If not, whatever. Tell people it's shit, but tell them publicity. Come on over here and check it out for themselves. Hit the like button. And if you don't like it, hit the dislike button twice. I heard that joke somewhere. I wanted to use it. So yeah, thank you guys for checking it out. I really appreciate it, and any help is advised. Drop it down in the comments down below. So thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.